Welcome to the Key to All of This with Tim and Dylan. I'm Dylan. This is Tim.
Welcome yourself, because I'm so excited for this night's episode because we have a lot to talk about because just of the subject matter.
Yeah. Welcome yourself. It was a very
Welcome
aggressive way to come
yourself.
back to the show.
I see your plain attempt to be nice, and you know what? Do it yourself is what I'd like to say to that.
Do it.
Do it. Do it. Yeah, we got a great episode today. We're discussing none other than the Millennium Falcon, quite possibly the most gangster ride in all the galaxy. And, as far as, vehicles go, one that really doesn't age as much as the other ones.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that it ages. If you see it in Solo versus A New Hope, it's missing some stuff. Some blue paint's gone, and it's a little dirty.
Yeah, the racing stripes have faded a little bit. The Botox is very clear. But I will say that, like, in terms of, like, from where we see Luke's X-Wing in the original series to it being, submerged in a little, like, Scottish loch on Octo, it does, over 60 years it remains around, and it's still, very noteworthy in terms of like its accomplishments haven't been surpassed in 60 years that we know of.
Yeah. And between A New Hope, the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, the ship looks the exact same.
Yes, it does. Minus
so I feel like it's just been
escape pod
sitting under
here
a
and
tarp
there.
the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They've really been souping it up. Adding the wheels that kind of like pop up, and so it's just kind of moving around. I will also say that, quick question, is the Millennium Falcon, was it built by Han Solo's father? Because apparently he worked on creating these exact models on Corellia.
The YT 1300?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how Han has his familiarity with it in Solo, is because his dad used to work on these in a kind of like possibly owned by Ford factory on Corellia. And so there are a number of those out there. There's not just one make of this. It's not like the Peugeot or I'm trying to think of the modern day equivalent. It's not like, I mean, it is kind of similar to the why am I blanking on this most iconic car in Back to the Future?
Oh, the DeLorean.
Yeah. So they're probably
the
more
Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian. Yeah, there you go. Could not even set myself up for that. But
yeah. Maybe you should lay off that drink.
Well, that's been our episode today.
Millennium Falcon. Back to the Future. Back to the episode. So you were saying that we've seen more of those ships, but not so many because they're very unique. But did you see the clip in Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah. Oh,
where they showed that?
What's it called? Palpatine's speech? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that was Han Solo?
I
in the Millennium
believe they
Falcon?
confirmed that to be the Millennium Falcon. Like,
okay.
Already way before.
It took me forever to find that.
It's like that in like the ET extraterrestrials. And
yeah, I mean, they actually cut in on those.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it took me a while though because I'm dumb. But yeah, I couldn't find the ETs for a while, but I could see the Millennium Falcon. And I think they did confirm it. But now looking back, like, it does look like the Millennium Falcon, and we know for a fact that it still has the escape pod at that time. So maybe it's a retcon where it's actually not the Millennium Falcon. at that point. Who
Yeah,
knows?
could be. Yeah, because I believe that they would remove the escape pod from time to time
Yeah.
if you're hauling
Oh,
stuff.
it's true. Yeah, I guess you could replace that. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
One question I wanted to ask you is parsec related.
Hmm.
The Millennium Falcon completes the Kessel Run in under 12 parsecs, but as we see in Solo, it's completed in 12 parsecs, and then it's just Han Solo bragging that he did it in less than 12 parsecs. So did he
Yeah.
actually do it in less than, or is that just like, as I said, is that just bravado and him kind of creating a tale when there wasn't one?
Oh, I believe it was a tail because they make the joke that in Force Awakens, where they're like, "Didn't you make it in 18?" And he's like, 16 or 14 or whatever. So they make a joke about that. And then in Solo, he says that he does it quicker than he actually does
Yeah,
because he just lies about everything.
it's true. I mean, most of Han Solo's stats are complete fabrications.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I always thought that like 12 parsecs apparently is an amazing time to begin with. So why like lie about that like small little detail?
Yeah.
Always was like a shock to me when I saw Solo.
Hmm.
But yeah, apparently still hold its it's still as fast as they come. Uh, you know, decades later. Uh,
Hmm.
um, I wonder like how like what's the retirement age for the Millennium Falcon?
Yeah, I don't know because at this point it's close to 90, I think,
I think
in
so. Yeah, it must
by the
be.
timeline we're in now with Ray and Finn. So
Mm-hmm.
my car won't last that long.
No, I won't
It's
last
about
that
8 years in, and it's she's about to die.
long. You hear
You
me,
won't
baby?
last that long.
You hear me, baby? Hold together.
You're that fast, though.
Yeah, I am that fast.
So in Solo, we got to see the Kessel Run. If we saw the Millennium Falcon in other movies, animated shows, anything, are there any stories that you want to know that we haven't been told about it?
Yeah. So in the second Battlefront, we're introduced to a whole new storyline that's been proved as canon, and it's like Han Solo after what's it called? After
Endor.
Endor, yeah. And he goes to Takodana, and it's like he has a beard. It's a real bad phase for him.
Hmm.
And I would love to see that. I mean, they did a great job of portraying it then, but I would love to see it during that phase. I think that's really cool. I would love to see how Han Solo lost the Millennium Falcon. I think that'd
Hmm.
be so interesting to see. As much as it was to see Lando lose it.
Yeah, yeah. That was the note that I had. Was this what I want to see is how Han loses it to begin with,
Yeah.
and how obviously leading up to Ray getting it, but yeah, initially how he loses it.
I mean, what Star Wars does great is they create these objects that are like all these people who possess it are merely like transient owners of it, like the dark
Hmm.
saber, and it confers upon them a power, like
Hmm. Of
and
cockiness.
exact cockiness and parsecery. And
Hmm.
I think that like to see the Millennium Falcon go down the line, I would love to see that. If it's possible to see it before Orlando, I don't know how that's possible, but
Hmm.
I think it's just a timeless uh, um, vehicle that's almost like a character in and of itself.
Hmm. And you were saying or mentioned how Lando had lost it to Han when before the movie came out. Donald Glover did a walkthrough to show the closet with the armoire with all the capes. What do you think Han Solo turned that room into after he stole it from
Oh,
Lando.
I bet we could, if we wanted to, do it like a little side by side of like the layout of the Falcon from that era versus the original trilogy. I would not be surprised if he turned it into another like living layout.
Hmm.
But I could be wrong. I mean, I could be very wrong. It would not be surprised either if it turned out to be the same place that Han and Leia kissed. It just was repurposed that way that it looked that like kind of bare bones. But that's just my
So he
guess.
turned it into a kissing booth.
Just like a straight up Netflix kissing booth with Joey King.
Come here,
There's
come here, Joey.
Come here, Joey.
25 cents. 25 schmeckles.
25 parsecs.
Do you want to know what I think he turned the room into?
I would love to.
I think he turned it into a room to keep all the nerfs he herded.
At least they wouldn't say he looks scruffy looking.
Yeah, because he's not scruffy looking.
He's not. He's not a scruffy looking dude. Nerf herder, yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, he loves...
And he keeps them in the armoire.
Those Nerf guns are so prevalent in Star Wars culture, as in our culture.
Yeah, and my favorite line from Solo is when Han Solo says, "It's Nerf or nothing." It's really cool. And then he drinks a Capri Sun in one gulp.
And he turns into the liquid.
Yeah.
And then he reforms as the cop in Terminator 2.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Spoiler alert. Wow.
Is that Owen Wilson or Han Solo?
It's Owen Wilson as an old...
Oh, wow, Chewie. Wow.
Oh, wow, Chewie, we're home.
Wow, we're home.
Wow.
Speaking of design of the ship, talking about the armoire, did you know that the two front prongs of the ship is where they hold the cargo?
No, I did not know that.
I was reading that, and people were like, why would they put the cargo ahead of the ship? Because most of the time you put that towards the back of a ship. And it makes me think that Han wanted to keep an eye on all the stuff he was stealing and smuggling.
That's smart. And also to keep it away from the like combustible area, you know, with the tail fins and everything like that. Like,
yeah, I could be wrong. I read that.
I'm going to take this word as gospel. So
yeah,
I trust you.
It's from the sacred texts.
The sacred text.
Mm-hmm. We don't get any comments on this podcast, but comment below to let me know if I'm right or wrong on this. I read it, okay? Yeah. I read it.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised if that's where he kept it, because it makes sense to keep one of his wandering eye over there, and the other one on Chewie.
On the prize, yeah.
A third one on Leia.
His seat? Oh.
Seat. No one steal my seat. No one.
Another design thing that I read. I read it, okay? I read it. Was that the original design of the Falcon ended up being what they did for Tantive 4. That's the ship that they ended up using for the design.
Interesting. So, I mean, I'm glad they changed it. Because the Tantive 4 looks cool, but not necessarily like the cool levels of the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, the Tantive 4 looks like a ship that you can duplicate and easily build, where the Falcon is a little more misshaped and not so symmetrical.
Okay, let's do a little test here. I'm thinking of a ship that looks like something that could be used in a proctology exam. Are you thinking the Tantive 4 or the Millennium Falcon?
I mean, I'd use either, depending on my flow.
Your flow. Well, God help you if it's a Millennium Falcon shape, because you would need hospitalization.
The Force will move it as it needs to.
The Force moves darkly.
I'm telling you, this isn't going to fit. Use the Force, Doc.
You came in that thing. You're even braver than I thought.
Oh boy.
Well, this is mostly going to be edited down to 3 seconds with all the filthy jokes we're making. Um, but yeah, no, I think I'm glad that they did uh, use the Tantive 4 design for the Tantive 4 because it's more like standard ship
Hmm.
and there's something about the layout of the Millennium Falcon that's like iconic.
Yeah. There wouldn't be much need for that style of ship for troops or whatever. It
Yeah,
doesn't fit that many people to begin with.
yeah,
So it's good that they didn't use a ship that was made for, you know, an army essentially.
yeah.
Any final thoughts on the Millennium Falcon? Any other
I mean,
comments?
just my eternal hope that we get to see more of it. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, with the Ahsoka show and the upcoming Obi Wan series, and then also the Book of Boba. Like, you one hope is that you get to see Millennium Falcon again. I know it's so tied to the Skywalker um, arc that
Hmm.
I mean it's not possibility really, but one can only pray.
Yeah. I could see a de-aged Harrison Ford showing up in Book of Boba Fett with the
Yeah,
Falcon.
yeah, I can see that too. Or in Ahsoka, like I know, I
Yeah.
mean we've talked about the world between worlds, aspect that that maybe that's going to be featured as well, and
Hmm.
also with news of like Hayden Christensen returning for that, like makes me think that a world between worlds is actually going to be a thing because
Yeah.
you're dealing with Rosario Dawson, who is played Ahsoka well after Anakin Skywalker is dead, and like the only way that it makes sense to tie it in is if that's an option. So
Yeah.
maybe
That or flashbacks. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, true.
Well, join us next time where we dive into another Corellian character, the bounty hunter, Dengar.
As always, I'm Tim, and this is Dylan, and this has been the key to all
Always.
this. And may the force be with you.
And also with you, Tim,
Aw,
and
thanks.
the people at home.
Mostly the people.
They all said thanks as well.
I heard them.